It is really my pleasure to welcome and to introduce Jean-Yves Le Gall. I can say is a friend of mine for a long time now, very long time. In April 2013, French government appointed Jean-Yves Le Gall as president of le Centre National d'Études Spatiales, CNES, the French Space Agency. CNES is responsible for proposing and implementing space policy in France. It is therefore involved in all aspects: Ariane, sciences, observation, telecommunications, defense. Through 4 centers of excellence in Paris, Toulouse, and French Guiana. CNES is also represents France within the European Space Agency, ESA, and several other international organizations. It is a core shareholder in various commercial enterprises, including Arianespace. Jean-Yves Le Gall has devoted his entire career to the European Space Program, holding positions within the French National Scientific Research Agency, CNRS, several French ministries, Novespace, Starsem, and first stint with CNES. He joined Arianespace in 2001, heading up the company until his appointment as president of CNES. A trained engineer and scientist, Jean-Yves Le Gall is vice president of the International Astronautical Federation, IAF, a member of the International Academy of Astronautics, IAA, and vice president to the Space Circle in French think tank, CEPS, Centre d'études et de prospective stratégique. Jean-Yves Le Gall received the Astronautic Prize from the French Association of Aeronautics and Astronautics, 3EF, in 2001. He was named via Satellite Magazine's 2005 Satellite Executive of the Year, and received the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2007 from the Asia Pacific Satellite Communication Council. In 2011, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame of the Society of Satellite Professionals International, and has also received the Icarus Prize from the French Association of Professional Aerospace Journalists, AJPIA. Jean-Yves Le Gall holds the rank of officer in both the Légion d'Honneur, Legion of Honor, and the National Order of Merit in France, and was awarded the Order of Friendship by the Russian Federation. Jean-Yves Le Gall.
So thank you, Michel, for your very nice words. And in fact, it's a great pleasure for me to be here today as the honor chairman of this event. And on the occasion, I would like to thank FreeIF for its continuous efforts in organizing, which is today undoubtedly one of the major events worldwide in optronics and the most important symposium in this domain in Europe. What you didn't say in my resume is that, in fact, I have a personal interest in optronics because I studied optics a long time ago, and I have someone who has been one of my teachers here. He told me that he didn't see me a lot during my courses, but I remember you, and I learned a lot. So it clearly demonstrates that you don't need perhaps to be present to learn, but it's another story. About space, it's quite interesting because space activity, as you know, involves a wide variety of leading-edge technologies, and is perhaps today the sector which is involving the widest range of different technologies, pushed to their limits because of the level of performance and the constraints which are imposed by the space environment. And among all these technologies, there is one, optronics, which is of utmost importance at the origin of some major achievements in space activity. And of course, CNES and its partners have heavily relied on this technology in the recent past for several space missions covering thematic fields such as Earth observation, of course, atmosphere science, deep space science and exploration. And it is very clear that we will continue to rely on optronics for most of our major missions. Optronics is a key technology for defense and space, but beyond the technology itself, optronics represents a very important scientific and industrial stake for France. France has obviously today a leading role in Europe, and is just behind the worldwide leader in terms of turnover. Only for the space business, it is more than 30% of the total turnover of our prime contractors industry, which rely on optronics. And with thousands of very high-skilled jobs, optronics is and should remain in the future one of the pillars of our industry, a symbol of our innovative skills and of our export performance. Now, I would like to explain a few examples of space activity in which optronics play a major role, and to give you a quick overview of past and present missions to illustrate the importance of optronics in space. Of course, I will start with the very high-resolution Earth observation programs, because you know that we have a very strong expertise in Earth observation, starting with the launch of Spot 1. It was 22 February 1986, almost 30 years ago. For me, it's a big souvenir because, frankly speaking, it's the first time I visited French Guiana at the occasion of this launch, and it was, in fact, the flight number probably 16 of Ariane. Since then, we had a number of launches. But so we started this huge venture of Earth observation with the launch of Spot, and since then, we had, of course, all the Spot family, 5, the Helios, and more recently, the 2 Pléiades missions. And today, with all these satellites, France is one of the few nations able to build and operate independently such system. And independently is very important because it is because of these satellites that we can lead some military operations, as for instance in Africa, because these satellites, of course, provide a huge range of pictures of the theater of operations. And at the end, this is an extremely strong asset for our country's diplomatic and military credibility in the international scene, and it represents a key expertise of our industrial base. This was not happened by chance, but is a result of a long-term vision, of the continuous institutional support through decades, and of progressive knowledge built up on what is today a unique industrial base. And as I said, Pléiades is the latest addition to our family of Earth observation satellites. It is a constellation of 2 very high-resolution optical Earth imaging satellites offering optical data products in record time and providing a daily revisit capability to any point on the globe. And we launched the two Pléiades in December 2011 and 2012, and they provide us with excellent pictures with very high resolution. And in fact, such performances result from end-to-end system expertise, but four optronics technologies play a key role in the mission. First, the lightweight and ultra-stable telescope and mirrors. Second, the CCD sensors. Third, the latest generation fiber optic gyros. And finally, the Star Tracker. And I think that we should be proud to underline that this expertise, associated with a strong diplomatic support, recently allowed our industry to win two major export contracts for very high-resolution satellites. These contracts, one of them is public. This is for the United Arab Emirates. And the other one today is confidential, but it clearly demonstrates the high level of performance of our industry. And I should say that we can be proud because these contracts have been won in competition with some US companies, which on their side are also at the highest level in optical observation. And this world-level competition success is a key element to maintain our strategic industrial base at the lowest institutional cost. This is also of some importance. You read, as me, the newspapers, and you know our financial situation. But these successes should not hide the reality. As is the case in other industrial sectors, worldwide competition is growing and will require now and in the future stronger visions and innovations to maintain our leading position. In other words, we have a lot of assets and a lot of successes behind us, but we have to continue to invest in innovation, in technology, because these successes are not granted forever, and we have to prepare very strongly for the future, and this is exactly what we are doing in CNES. Another point that I would like, on which I would like to insist, is that high-resolution satellites are not the only optronics expertise developed in France for space applications, but we have another example, and it's very important. This is operational meteorology and climate monitoring, and it has become today huge societal challenges, and France has a solid position worldwide in this domain. Our industry is in charge or involved in almost all the European optronics instruments in operation or foreseen in the near future. I would like first to speak about YASI. In this field, the time between decisions and achievements, in fact, is very long. And as a matter of fact, as Michel said, I spent a few years in CNES 15 years ago, and it was the time of the decision of YASI. The decision has been taken, if I remember well, in 1997, and the launch of the first YASI occurred with the launch of the first METOP satellite, which took place in October 2006 from Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, and we launched it on board on Soyuz rocket. And today we have these satellites which are in orbit, and in fact METOP is a series of 3 meteorological satellites. 2 have been launched in 2006 and in 2012, and another one will be launched in 2017 probably, also with Soyuz rocket, but this time from French Guiana. And these satellites, in fact, form the space segment of the overall EUMETSAT polar system, and they are an essential instrument in the payload of the satellites. And YASI is one of these instruments, and it is built by CNES and the French industry. And in fact, YASI provided very concrete results because it has been able to dramatically improve 3-day weather forecast. And its impact on the reliability of prediction is the most important among all the instruments which are used today for weather forecast. In fact, YASI is a fairly complex engineering piece of optronics, and it is based on the spectral decomposition of thermal heat emission from the Earth performed with a Michelson interferometer. It allows the measurement of temperature and water vapor profiles in the atmosphere, as well as the quantification of atmospheric chemical components such as ozone, carbon dioxide, and methane, and which play a basic role in the greenhouse effect. I am sure that you probably saw a few days ago on the TV or in the newspapers the very impressive images taken by YASI of the pollution in Beijing, China. And the level of pollution and the reason of the pollution has been displayed in depth due to the high performance of YASI, which clearly demonstrate that this pollution in China is due to particles, and with a clear view of the size of the particles allowing to predict the effects of the pollution. So, as I told you, the decisions on YASI have been taken in 1997, and so you see the time frame: decision in 1997, first launch in 2006, second launch in 2012, third launch in 2017. But we are already thinking about the future, and the future will be YASI NG for next generation. And in fact, we will launch the METOP second generation starting in 2021, but already we took the decision on YASI NG. And YASI NG will not be based on Michelson interferometer, but on Merz interferometer. And it will offer a wide field improved radiometric precision and spectral resolution, aiming to improve the long-term weather prediction and to better monitor some key variables. I told you that with YASI it was a 3-day prediction, 72 hours, and with YASI NG we plan to have a 5-day prediction, which is of course much better. In fact, we have a kind of what I could call a love story between meteorology and French expertise in optronics, but it doesn't stop with METOP. Following up from the Meteosat second generation, which are already in orbit, and there is still, today there are 3 MSG satellites in orbit, and the 4th one will be launched by Ariane in 2015. But we are already working on the Meteosat 3rd generation, and the development of this new generation of satellite has started, and national optronics technologies are keys again, such as instrument engineering, detectors, passive optics, and laser source. We have also another domain besides the meteorology, which is now the all-new Copernicus program, which is the most ambitious Earth observation program to date. And this initiative is headed by the European Commission in partnership with the European Space Agency. Copernicus will provide information to improve the management of the environment, understand and mitigate the effects of climate change, and ensure also civil security. And France, and in particular CNES, strongly support Copernicus, and our industry is involved in the 2 major optronics equipment of the space segment, the multispectral instrument on Sentinel-2 and ocean and land color instrument in Sentinel-3. All these operational programs and instruments are based on passive sensing and optronics. And besides these programs, which are very, very ambitious and which will be launched in the coming years, ESA, the European Space Agency, also carries out exploratory missions with the Earth Explorer family. Among the members of the family, ADM Aeolus will characterize from 2015 wind profiles. It embarks the first Doppler wind LIDAR in space, so-called Aladdin, and another X-Explorer EarthCare is based on this atmospheric LIDAR, which provides vertical profiles of aerosols and thin clouds. And it will be the first UV high spectral resolution LIDAR to be flown in space. And once again, French industry is in both cases the prime contractor for the instrument, and the French expertise in high-power lasers has been intensely used to solve the difficult problems raised by high-power lasers in space. So you see that we have a lot of expertise in all this field in earth sciences, but once again, this is not the only domain for which optronics are enabling technologies. Because space has become today a unique observatory to understand the structure and the mysteries of the universe, and again, we have a key role for optronics. And in universe sciences, I would like to start with a very European success, the launch of Gaia last December. For those of you who are interested in astrometry, Gaia is the successor of Hipparcos. Hipparcos is a satellite which has been developed in the early 80s, and that I know quite personally because, in fact, I had the pleasure to work on the payload of Hipparcos as it was, in fact, the topic of my PhD in early 80s. And we launched Hipparcos in 1989, in August 1989, with Ariane. And at this time of Hipparcos, we used to say that the accuracy was a small p observed in Lille seen from Marseille, so a small p at 1,000 kilometers. And with Gaia, we change the small p in the quarter of the thickness of air, and it gives you an idea of the progress that we made. And at the same time, with Hipparcos, we observed 100,000 stars, and with Gaia, it will be 1.3 billion stars. So Gaia, really the successor of Hipparcos. The launch of Gaia occurred on the 19th of December, 24 years after the launch of Hipparcos, but you see all the progress made with Gaia. And Gaia today, this progress is a result of all the progress which have been made in technology, because Gaia is a masterpiece of technology, and I think that we can say a triumph of French optics engineering. It is among the most complex and precise objects ever built to fly in space. The mission itself is extremely ambitious, as it aims to map a part of our galaxy with a precise characterization of more than 1 billion stars, in fact 1.3 billion. And the precision of localization between 7 and 300 microsecond arc, depending on the star magnitude, is very, very amazing when you realize that 24 microsecond arc is equivalent, what I say, of the thickness of a human hair, which is observed at 1,000 kilometer distance. Gaia, in fact, contains two identical telescopes pointing in two directions and merge into a common path at the focal plane of 106 CCDs of more than 1 billion pixels. And today, this is the greatest ever built in space. So it means that Gaia is much more ambitious than all the very, very powerful satellites which are used also for military purpose in the US and elsewhere. Gaia today is really the best optical system to be in space, and we can be very proud of that because Gaia has been made mostly in France. The telescope's elements, including onboard metrology to achieve such a precision, are built around the hexagonal optical bench with a 3-meter diameter in silicon carbide, which provides the structural support. Indeed, Gaia is a European project involving many European companies, each participating in the project team for the final achievement. But once again, I want to say and to be proud that the design of the instrument, the engineering, the assembly and test have been done in France. As I said, Gaia has been launched and is now starting its mission. We received the first data from Gaia. And we have a lot of work, in fact, which will be made at the Toulouse Space Center using very sophisticated software treatments, and we use what is so-called big data. These are the same algorithms that the ones which are used by Amazon, Google, and so on to treat a lot of data. And this is exactly what we are doing now with Gaia. But we are already preparing the next mission, which is so-called Euclid. And Euclid, in fact, will map several 100 million galaxies in a large part of the universe. Euclid is also a project involving very high technology optics and optoelectronics with a payload which is based on a 1.2 meter aperture 3-mirror coarse configuration telescope. Again, the telescope is fully based on French silicon carbide technology, another expression of the expertise of our industry. I should say that Gaia and Euclid, even if they are very, very ambitious and very, very impressive, this is not the only ESA mission in which our optronics expertise is involved. The project Solar Orbiter is dedicated to solar and heliospheric physics, and many French labs are involved in the development of major solo instruments at different levels. And we are also preparing the first mission to Mercury, Bepi-Colombo, that we will launch with Ariane in 2017 probably, and with a huge spectrometer, which will be a key instrument. So you see, all what is brought by Optronics in the science of the universe. And I cannot end this review without mentioning the role of Optronics and on exploration and planetology. For those who had the opportunity to admire the images of the ATV docking on the International Space Station, another great European success in space, it is worth to mention that docking is performed thanks to a French videometer and Optronics sensor. The ATV, you know that this is the big vehicle which is launched by Ariane. It's a 20-ton cargo vehicle which brings cargo, fuel, and so on to the space station. And it is docked completely automatically using optical sensors to the space station. And we already launched 4 ATVs. The first one was so-called Jules Verne, the second one Johannes Kepler, the third one it was an Italian scientist, Eduardo Amaldi, the fourth one last June, Albert Einstein, and we will launch the next one probably end of June. It's Georges Lemaître from the name of Belgium scientist, and unfortunately it will be the last of the ATVs, but the program planned to have just 5 ATVs. But it will be, once again, an example of what is allowed by Optronics. And I should say that the ATV is only device which is docked to the space station using Optronics. We have, for the other docking to the space station, the US Space Shuttle used to use radar device. The Russian Progress and Soyuz use also radar, and some other vehicles, says the Japanese HTV or the US Dragon launched by SpaceX, they don't dock to the space station, they go to the vicinity of the space station, and after that the arm of the space station captures them and docks them to the station. But the ATV is really a nice piece of art, and if you're interested in that, look at the next docking. It will be live on our internet site, and you will see direct from the space station the docking of the ATV. It's very, very impressive. We have also another example of a big piece of art when we had in 2012, it was the 6th of August 2012, the landing of the NASA rover Curiosity on Mars. And one of the key instruments of Curiosity is an instrument which is made in France in a joint venture between the Université Paul Sabatier in Toulouse and the Centre Spatial de Toulouse, the Toulouse Space Center of CNES. And we have this instrument so-called the ChemCam. And it allows to get a very accurate analysis of the ground of Mars. It's also very impressive. And in fact, you see that this non-exhaustive inventory shows how Optronics is important in space as an enabling technology for very ambitious programs in many fields. Today, just a figure, more than 40% of CNES programs expenditures are channeled to projects relying on Optronics, and I can say that in the future, the importance could even increase with more ambitious programs and more technological challenges. This is the reason why CNES and its partners are actively preparing the future with an ambitious agenda of ongoing and upcoming studies on next-generation detectors, on lightweight mirrors and optics, active optics, on hyperspectral instruments, on passive sounding for enhanced carbon monitoring, optical atomic clocks, and so on. So, you see, I don't want to be longer, but you see that we have many, many examples of the use of Optronics, and I am sure that many of these examples, in fact, are not known because it's a kind of hidden part of the very exciting missions that we are performing, but today it is clear that our industry and our laboratories are in a prominent place in the world competition. But as in many other sectors, we have now to face an increased competition. CNES has participated to the recent exercise which has been undertaken by 3IF, aiming to map national capabilities, identify the strengths and weaknesses of the optronics sector, and the corresponding threats and opportunities. And once again, I want to thank Michel Scheller to have been at the origin of this exercise, which is, in my opinion, very, very important. And the result of this exercise clearly underlines that the national optronics sector has to take all the appropriate measures to ensure this leading role in the future. And to conclude, I would like you to know that CNES will actively participate in these thoughts in the most constructive way. You saw in the few examples that I give you that optronics is very, very useful, very, very successful on all the experiments that we are conducting, and it brings a lot of expertise in space, but also with all the projects that I quote, a lot of dreams. And this is what I would like that remain. Once again, thank you for your attention, and I can tell you that CNES will continue to be a very active player in the field of electronics. Thank you.